Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I would like to show you my new junk journal, which I have called Dreamy Woods, Dreamy Meadows. Creating a nature-themed junk journal was always on my list of projects. And when I came across an antique photo album with a lavish green velvet cover, it was kind of evidence. It resembled so much to forest moss that I decided that I would create a junk journal using that cover. The cover is quite heavy and thick. I believe it's of wood. I have created a quite large spine. As you can see, it's a curved spine. I have covered it with some soft lamb leather. And as you can see on the cover, I have added this stunning image. It's a transfer on fabric of a painting by Albert Durer Lucas, a 19th century British wildlife and flowers painter. I will include below the link to the shop on Etsy where I bought this this artistic fabric, and I must say that the quality is outstanding, and I really strongly recommend this shop, Eclipse by Lucy in the Czech Republic. So the journal measures 22 per 16 centimeters. The spine is about 7 centimeters wide, and from the open side it's even wider. It's up to 10 centimeters. As you can see, the journal is quite chunky. But what I like about it is that it would lie flat no matter where we open it, and you will see that later. So let's have a look inside. Here on the first spread, you can see two big pockets made of very delicate antique handmade lace. In the pocket to the left, I have included a page from a book, Fraisier des Bois. Here is the book, Plantes médicinales, medicinal plants, from 1983, I believe. By the way, this journal does not contain any digitals. All the images come from real books or are authentic cards, documents, etc. There is an antique postcard which was written in 1917. There is also a very beautiful, I find, trading card. And this small and sweet strawberry card from a vintage children's lotto. To the right, there is a big journaling card. For making it, I have used an image from one of the art books on pre-Raphaelites. This is a painting by John Everett Millais, The Woodman's Daughter, which was painted in 1850. I have embellished it with some leather and fabric scraps. Behind there is an embroidered monogram, a scrap of fabric. This type of fabric is known as toile de joie, with some ledger paper, blank paper, embellished with fussy cuts of strawberries from Tassotti gift wrapping paper. So as you see, plenty of journaling space here. I have also included a page from a French ledger from 1793, partly written and mostly empty. It also contains a beautiful watermark in the middle, visible against the light. This is some real forest moss, pressed and glued. The scrapbooking paper is from Stamperia, forest collection here, and the spring botanical here. Yeah, let's put it back. The next page, contains a vintage envelope. It's authentic color and image. I did not stamp it, it was there. To the right there is a pocket also of some antique lace embroidery. Altogether, this journal contains more than 40 varieties of antique and vintage French lace. Here you can see this beautiful image of mushrooms and some information about poisonous mushrooms. Yeah, wow. Wait a second, I will show you where it comes from. Here we are. So these pages come from this antique leaflet on mushrooms, les champignons, which was offered by a pharmacy, Grande Pharmacie Normale à Metz, to its clients. The envelope here, it can be flipped open like this, and this is something very special. This is a fabric leaf on a wire stem, so you can fold it, unfold it. It comes from an antique French hat maker store, and it dates from 1920s. There is a pocket, this triangular pocket that I have made of antique lace with this sweet antique button. Inside I have put some paper from a vintage ledger and a very nice triangular pose stamp with mushrooms. It's a Polish one, a vintage pose stamp. And inside the pocket there is a very nice forest theme image. I have taken it from a vintage book, La vie secrète des bêtes dans les bois et forêts. This book is from 1978. It's a French book. There is also a scrap from an antique calendar book. This page at the background and here with this lovely mushrooms image is from another vintage book, Georges Becker Champignon, from 1983. Here to the right there is a big journaling card with an extract from this book by Louis Ficquier, Histoire des plantes. It's an antique French book of 80 1880. This is an antique ledger. And to the right here, this is also something very special. This page comes from this school notebook, and it's these are handwritten notes of a student on botanical studies with some illustrations. So it was written in 1894, 1895. Something absolutely extraordinary. Here we have a tuck spot with some nice word stamping, with a scrap of linen that I dyed with avocado pink. There is also a vintage glass button. Behind there is a scrap of vintage wallpaper on which I have put a French wine label. And this flower is also from the antique hat maker store from 1920s. There is also a small receipt or something from 40s, I believe. Here, this is a ledger page from 1850s, if I'm not wrong. Some binding paper from an antique book, which I have embellished with this sweet ladybird button. It's a modern one, I believe. There is some napkin decoupage on this. This is a protection paper from a herbarium, which went together with this pressed daffodil. It dates from 1943-44. Here we have an image. This is napkin decoupage. This is from one of the paintings of Raphaelite. I do not remember which one exactly, with some craquelure effect. Inside this pocket I have included a page from a Dutch vintage book. This one, Dutch popular and children prints from 1976. Here there is another pocket embellished with some rice paper. Inside I have included a page that I dyed with avocado in pink with some lace motif. There is some gorgeous lace here, velvet, thick velvet trim here, an extract from the 1880 book that I have shown you, L'Histoire des Plantes, with some gorgeous pressed flowers here. Another ledger page. Here there is a journaling card with avocado dyed paper, and very nice image which comes from this book. It's Herbier by the Taschen edition. It's quite a modern book. There is a very sweet vintage glass button here. Plenty of journaling space. Here is another page from the 1890s school notebook that I have shown you with notes on botanic studies. That's the way how it was. Some napkin decoupage. Here I have included some pages from a vintage notebook. I really liked its colors with some napkin decoupage. Here you can see a doily, a vintage doily, which is used as a tuck spot. From this side as well. Here there is a small piece from a vintage children's book. It's this one, Les Animaux de la Forêt, from 1991. There is also this lovely scrapbooking paper from Stamperia Forest Collection, some pressed leaves. Here at the back we have a tuck spot made of luxurious antique gray silk lace. I have included some gorgeous French wine label. It's quite modern, 2016. There is an extract from an antique French calendar book. Some butterflies images. And by the way, these images, these fascicles, come from this gorgeous gift wrapping paper, Pepin butterflies. To the right, there is a page made with another piece of antique lace and embroidery. There is kind of double pocket from this side. I included an antique thread card with a nice post stamp with a pressed flower. And here there is an antique postcard. It's blank. This page, I believe that it comes from this book, Plantes Sauvages, Wild Plants, from 1980s. There is a very nice French wine label, a gorgeous, delicate, antique white embroidery as a tuck spot here. The scrapbooking here comes from the Craft Consortium collection Belle Fleur. Here is this. This is one of my preferred spreads. I would say a very unusual tuck spot that I have made of a vintage collar. At the background there is some gift wrapping paper. There is an antique menu, vintage rather, 1926. And this belly band here comes from the you remember from the antique French photo album that I have used for the cover, green velvet. It's the same velvet. And here we have a big journaling card with another pre-Raphaelite painting, The Little Foot Page, from 1905 by Eleanor Fortescue Brigdale. I find it really very romantic and very beautiful. Some antique French lace, journaling space. Here I have embellished this page with some texture paste. I will show you. I have used Shabby chalk paste avocado by Fabrika Decoru. It's a Ukrainian brand. Excellent. I would highly recommend them. And I have covered this branch, these leaves, with the gilding wax Duguay antique bronze. Just for your information, if you are curious on how this was done. Here I have embellished the paper clip with a bohemian glass bead with some leaf charm. There is a French soap label. Let me open everything. Some journaling space here. To the right there is a beautiful image, a beautiful journaling card of a jasmine fairy. I am sure you recognize the image of the famous illustrator Cicely Mary Barker. It comes from this book, A Flower Fairies Treasury. It's a vintage book from 1997. I have decided to keep the rest of the page from which I've cut out this image. Here it is. It can be used for some notes as well. There is a slim envelope like this. Inside there is more journaling space with a fabric trim here. And the image comes from this book, a Victorian flower album by Henry Terry from 1986. Some stamping at the background. Another page from the Botanical Studies notes from 1890s school notebook that I've shown you. I will just put everything like this, and later on I will attach everything correctly. Here there is an antique crochet doily with a mother of pearl button with the jasmine flower from the antique French hat maker store. And the page at the back, the text here, the image here, comes from a vintage children book, Le Petit Poucet. How is it called in English? Tom Thumb and Other Tales. This book is from 1959. Here there is some napkin decoupage And to add more character, more texture, I have glued some fabric. This lovely bird's image to the right comes from this book. It's La vie des animaux illustrés, les oiseaux, illustrated animals, life, birds, by Brême from the early 20th century. We have another blank ledger book with some napkin découpage de abeille, bee. Here we have another antique embroidery, gorgeous images from Stamperia forest collection, and huge journaling space. In fact, these pages come, this spread comes from a huge antique ledger, so it's very large, very big, and you can open it up like this. Another very beautiful napkin decoupage here, and from this side. This is the book on birds that I mentioned. Here, the botanical studies notes from 1890s, and some pressed flowers. Here there is another page from the fairy tale Tom Thumb that I mentioned already. There is a very nice sample of white embroidery. Here there is a belly band of silk velvet ribbon, which comes from the English artist store Penelope's Child, I believe. I will include the link below. There is a journaling card. This pressed flower comes from the 1940s herbarium. I have added this beautiful silk trim, very soft to touch. And here, this page comes from a school notebook, another school notebook. I will show you. From 1892-1893. Here there are two pockets, one with a deer embroidery, both antique. There is an antique postcard from 1907. Here there is a more delicate fine lace with a feather. This is also an old feather. It also comes from an antique hat maker store. This extract is from the birds book that I mentioned from the early 20th century. This is a big journaling card, and this small ribbon is a vintage corsetry ribbon.